Join us for an enlightening experience where you will gain a deeper understanding of the purpose and essence of opening your eyes. This is your chance to enhance self-awareness and personal growth with a shift in perception that provides a fresh outlook on life. Embrace the journey from consciousness to superconsciousness. Coming live by Barrett Kunyan.
Well, here we are. Zoe-Anna Bell, welcome to Activator.
Thank
and
you.
I'd just like to say I've had the privilege and honor of being in your circle for a few number of years now, and I find your presence a breath of fresh air. And just in case viewers out there are not too familiar with your work, I brought some notes, but I don't want to keep looking at it. But yeah, you come across as being you seem to understand the subjects of like breath work, Kundalini yoga, light work, transmutations. The thing that I get really excited about, which is you're also in contact with Palladian light language. Yeah, and you've made because I had also the opportunity to look at your website, and you made a very powerful statement there as well, reference to your mission is also to support all beings, or to remember the wholeness and their divinity. So welcome to Bioactivator, because that's the name of the game. And the topic of our discussion today is how to ignite the light. But before we get into that juicy conversation, do you want to just take the opportunity, let's just relax and chill out, breathe in, breathe out, and just give just viewers out there who are not too familiar with your work, can you just give a brief outline as to who you are as well, and the kind of work you're doing, and how we came in contact, and the coming of these beautiful energies, what it's all about. So I'll hand the mic to you now, and just maybe start off just giving a brief introduction of who you are and what kind of work you've been doing to date. Yeah, thank you, Zoe. Welcome.
So, hey everyone, thank you, Barrett. It's beautiful to be here. So my journey has been that path of following my own inner healing, mind, body, and really learning how to reconnect with those aspects that had been forgotten. And then going through a process of forgetfulness, of wiping the slate clean of the past, because then you have the experience to activate the codes within your DNA, which is then you remembering your mission. So everything that I now share is from what I've gone into personally, and then also followed that professionally, to be able, so currently what I'm doing is the future human. So giving others the tools that they need without it taking years and years and years of deep diving into deep knowledge, really giving them an opportunity to have the experience like an assimilation, an accountability assimilation. So then they get to actually put into action mind practices, body practices, spirit practices. So then by that process of them doing that each and every day, then they will naturally start to unlock their gifts, allow their shadows to come to the surface. Yeah, so that's sort of like in a nutshell, without going into the long story of getting here.
Great. That's great.
And it's ever changing, right? It is ever changing, and Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bit like the word truth, what encompasses truth and what makes truth real. I guess that my understanding is that a complete and balanced and pure being does not want to intentionally want to hurt another being.
Mm-hmm.
I take it. I mean, I there was a time where I would hurt people occasionally, not deliberately. But my understanding is, I just wrote this one down just because it encapsulates what bioactivation platform is all about, and I genuinely believe that that's our journey as well, together, and all the people who are coming together in this unity oneness. For me, one only tends to hurt another when one is hurt oneself.
Yeah.
So therefore, part of our journey, shall we say, is to see the pain in the other, and who perpetrated this act upon you, and really to try to understand, and to cooperate really, with that scenario, and that, you know, the cause why that pain was there in the first place. Myself, and I will hand over the mic as well. For me personally, when we look at the word truth, for me, what truth is, and I genuinely believe that we're on the same page on this, it's all about harmonizing, neutralizing, which will unlock the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And before I hand the mic back, when truth is absent, or if untruth is present, the physical body will give messages in the form of disease, which is a kind of blockage, which brings on the illness and imbalance and the lack of harmony. So, are you in alignment with what I've just put out
Yeah,
there? Because I
100%.
genuinely believe.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the body's constantly giving us a biofeedback about how we're showing up, how we can meet another, how we can understand from an empathetic point of view by sensing and feeling often that claircognizance, that scent and that sensation of knowing deep inside of what they're experiencing, and then being able to hold that, sometimes a mirror for them. And I think more and more so, it's about holding that space of pure love awareness of divinity. So then in full acceptance and an opportunity where then they can shift, they can be honest, they can be vulnerable without judging themselves. And also in that, having your own boundaries around that. You know, and we lead by example, and truth moment to moment. You may think what something is true in that moment, but it's simply an opinion that you're holding on to, which is so far away from the truth. The truth doesn't really have an opinion. It's this being able to have this appreciation of one another as we are all activating things in one another. And yes, the pain comes up in the body. Pain may also be coming up in the body as it's giving you to, oh, hello, this is where you need to take your attention. There's something emotionally that's being released here. And it can also be your cells, your DNA, which is actually going through an upgrade, and you're having the pain to force you to rest, simply. Or maybe the other is reflecting that within you in this oneness, and to constantly keeping that's, you know, with you and I, when we first connected, I don't know, 6-7 years ago on Facebook, maybe longer than that, you know, you have these little charge, there's an initial excitement, and there's a little charge, and there's a little bit of a trigger. And it's, you know, sometimes you need to step away for that. And then you have there's a bridge of curiosity of this, because you start because you're resonating that same frequency, right? So there's this drawing back. And I think it's really important to have that charge and that trigger. We don't always need to agree. It's great to be, it's how a beautiful soul reminded me this on Saturday. And it was a day. And it was like, it's not about agreeing, it's about how you respond beyond that, so you can keep the communication open. And I feel that's so important.
Mm-hmm. And when we look at the word light, the opposite of light is dark. And what's keeping me in good stead at this present moment is when one brings it into balance, not to, because that's where this activation platform is all about. I don't like defining things too much, but if we were to put a statement, a very powerful statement, our operating system is it's about neutralizing. So for me, my perspective is non-ego attachment. So we don't say light is better than dark, but what ignites that I am presence is when you put it into some kind of balance. So it's that when we look at the scale, it's not like that, too much light, much darkness. It's we're embracing both the yin and the yang, because I'll give the mic back to you in a second, but I tend, when I come in contact with some beautiful beings, soul beings, is how to release trapped energies as well, because in our vessels, I don't like to use the word disease. For me, it's just a blockage, whether it's emotional, it's an imbalance. And
Vibration.
you know when you're more in tune with what I just said about being neutral, because there is a feedback mechanism here. Okay, because how are you affecting people? What kind of impression are you leaving? Okay, so for me, it's a thrill when I can enrich the life of another sentient being. I think it's I think it's, for me, it's the greatest feeling on earth. And especially when that individual is a little bit imbalanced. And with your smile, that individual gets ignited, because it takes a person to deliver that powerful message. And I genuinely believe right now there are people on the planet. I just want to quickly also, if I may, just to say certain individuals that have ignited me, like yourself, Lee Madway, Rick Jewers, Colin Joe O'Brien, Jeff. Do you remember? You know a chap called Jeff Cloud?
Yeah.
Waking Up the Dream. He's, if viewers out there if you haven't read his book, please do so. The principles are very, very powerful. So yeah, I mean, how to ignite the light, and then where do you go from there? I mean, it's like, what is the purpose of igniting one's light? What's it all about? I mean, what is this journey all about? That is a dynamic question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess it also begins, without me talking too much, but
Okay.
it's like understanding the essence of your unique personal identity, because we all are unique soul beings having a unique experience. So we are creating a very interesting timeline, because there are multiple timelines, of which most of it is collapsing as we speak. And that's why I set up this platform, because, by the way, it's not mine. This platform is a 5-dimensional platform. I do not own it. I am a guardian of this platform. It is our platform. So, and can I just add a bit more, and then I'll hand the mic back to you, Zoe, if I may. Here I've put a very powerful mission statement, reference to the vision of this platform, because you chose this title. If I can share with the listeners out there, how to ignite the light is very dear and very close to my heart. So it's fantastic how the universe has brought this very powerful question. And I just want to make this powerful statement about this platform, because in the next couple of weeks, and maybe for months or a year or so, we'll be inviting beautiful soul beings like yourself. And I just want to make a powerful statement in terms of the representation of who and what this platform is all about. From the perspective of, I am an eternal sovereign soul being on a soul evolutionary journey in the company of other sovereign soul beings, trapped in a hologram of, this is debatable, and this is one of the reasons why we've set this up, not of our own making. So we can go into a conversation with that in a second, but with the means to change the hologram if we choose. I take back the sovereignty over my soul essence. I espouse the highest order of thought that is the oneness of all things. I embrace the finest and highest values and feelings and attach them and embody them into my soul essence and soul being. And I choose to adapt my perspectives and behaviors within the boundaries of my own choices for myself, for the greater and good of all. So the nucleus is do no harm. So please, if you want to add more to reference to our subject of how to ignite the light. I think we've touched a lot, haven't we, today so far?
Yeah, to ignite the light, it's really important. It is the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark and the light, and to really ignite your light without becoming exhausted by constantly, I need to ignite my light and being on this action. It's really important to go into the darkness, to go into the dark, the feminine, into that space of surrender. It could be from overwhelm, could be from sheer exhaustion, where you're forced to rest and you're forced to be still and observe yourself in that deep surrender. And there's true power in that. It's not about constantly shining out there. You only have to look at the butterfly with the chrysalis. And, most of the work is done in the dark. It's done behind closed doors. It's not done out there on, the flashiness or the light or what people perceive the light to be. And when you can do that and you start really accessing the eternal flame within, then you truly ignite your inner light, and then you fully enlight your light, where it never switches off, and it's easeful and it's effortless, and it's almost remembering what you were like when you were a kid and you had all this energy, because that whole trying to work it out so there is a process to go through. It's not like waking up one morning and go, wow, I'm activated in my life now, and you can play that little game, because it is a game. It's not in the forcing. It's almost like the more you force a light to shine on it, you naturally radiate from the inside out. And then, to impact the world, that's my mission, is to activate others so then they can go and impact by peace, not by force. And that's true spiritual maturity of, and it is a process, it is a dance. And we go through cycles of repeating karmic patterns or experiences so we can unveil another little layer. We can master a little bit more of that corner to clear the dust away, and then we'll have another cycle of that, and we may go through 7 of those to fully activate that part. And that's the whole excitement about being here, having this human experience.
Do you feel that for me, when we talk about an opposing polarity, I mean, when I get triggered, it's like I look upon that, especially with these new set of eyes, as not necessarily every action needs a reaction. So, for me, I learned I embrace the breathing, and I understand that the opposing polarity is there to highlight something, which additional light may be required.
Right.
And reference to the word struggle, I mean, so if there is an element of discomfort, for me, that is a very powerful barometer. But again, you harmonize it, neutralize it, you bring it into some kind of order. So there's a pattern here.
Yes, everything has order. Like everything is ordered, and you need order and you need structure. Like structure in your own holographic field, you do need structure and order. You need some sort of system for those pathways to really activate. I was going to say something when you were saying it, with the charge and the trigger, you can neutralize it. I actually like to channel it. I like to transmute it, transmorph it into igniting my fire even more, which is my passion, my purpose, and my fuel. And it's almost like saying, it's not about having any desire, get rid of all of your desires. No, you need desire, but it's not the lustful desire. It's the desire that's like your passion, your purpose. That's your fire. That's your spirit. That's the eternal. And, if we were all just floating around, just going, it's a timing, and you can utilize that, yes, to show you what it is you need to look at in your field and give a little bit of refinement. And over time, you don't go so far to the edges. You're able to refine and stay that middle path a lot easier.
Yeah.
And less effortlessly, because you're not getting spun out again into another crazy age.
Yeah. So basically, there are obviously there are powerful tools what one can utilize to help simplify and understand the essence of the unique struggle. Because every my take, and I feel we're on the same page. But if we're not, that's okay as well. But I think we are. Is that no two beings are the same. So two souls, or each and every soul is not defining but translating the information based on their ability. So we're not here to define in a sense, well, that's good, that's bad, because the all-encompassing presence of the I am is God is everything. Okay, it's the light and the dark. Because a very powerful analogy is in order to understand the essence of something, you have to experience its opposite polarity. For example, to embrace sweet, you experience sour. You're not the sweet, you're not the sour. You bring it into balance. And this is one of the things, and I genuinely believe that we are, again, Zoe, I feel that this is not an accident, because we are magnets, we are electricity at the same time. I genuinely believe that the timing of us coming together on this platform, there's a profound reason. And I also believe that there is a divine plan behind it all, because there is a fabric. And my day always begins with gratitude, because if you're thankful, or if I'm I practice unconditional love. Sometimes people can misinterpret, and they're sovereign. They're perfectly in their right to see the light and what ignites them from their own perspective. We are not here to influence that. We are just the light. Okay. So my understanding is what you give, you get back in terms of merit. And I genuinely believe that the platform is to gain some kind of merit, which is the true currency. So if a new currency is emerging with the help of what we're doing and what this platform is, and it's not, like I said, my understanding is guardianship is the ultimate way of igniting, not saying this is mine. And And the same with relationships. Sometimes people are so choked in their relationships because they think it's a possession. Love is a possession. Truth is a possession. It's not. And the more you become infinite with it and free with it and release it and become this part of the source of it, you have a different connection, shall we say. And it's one that I'm really enjoying at the moment because something happened here fairly recently with me, and we call that the a very powerful gland. Do you want to talk about this pineal gland? Because if it's not fully activated, it is a bit of a hamster wheel, right? So it's important to activate your gland, and how you ignite that. Okay, could you give some listeners to viewers some very powerful tools that have have kept you in good stead? Just share with listeners out there
So with
hmm.
the pineal gland is there to assist you with being able to see more clearly, almost like a thinning of the veil. It's not necessarily, it's when people talk about being able to see, that inner seeing, that's more a reflection what's coming off the pituitary, then on, it's reflected on as a mirror. Is that right? The pineal gland gets calcified, and it's got calcified over time by what we've watched, what we've put into our body. So things like fluoride, different foods, has created this calcification around it, which has then blocked it's restricted the ability to actually see through things, to actually see I didn't even want to say the word truth, but to gain that clarity of that clear perspective, so then you can be more informed to make a decision, or less shifting really from judgment and opinion to being able to see all points of view. The pineal thing, some great ways to actually decalcify it, which any viewers watching can start straight away. And a really super fun one is dark chocolate with like berries, so like raspberries and dark chocolate, or chocolate, strawberries and dark chocolate. And the combination between the vitamin C and the cacao has this effect of assisting to decalcify. Other things, like even I would get people, like when they're learning the meditation, they're learning some alternate nostril breathing. I mean, their finger is on here when they're doing the practice, but almost just this tapping, like waking up, even saying clear, 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 purify, 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 open, 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 and having some real clearing commands. You can put different crystals on there. Meditation is one of the main ways that the transcendence meditation, that over time and practice has opened that up. And I'm not a seer. I don't have the clairvoyance. I have moments of it. That doesn't mean to say that your third eye, your pineal, is not open. It's like your ability to be able to discern and distinguish, right? And elevate and see from a higher level perspective, your higher self perspective, rather than the little human thinking it's all about you. So yes, looking up at the sunlight in the morning as the sun is rising, that's another one, sun gazing, and the Egyptians were doing this, these practices are nothing new. The other thing that I do, I actually use my menstrual blood each month, because menstrual blood has actually got DMT in it.
Wow.
And it's DMT that's released from, and I've got a little bit of that in my book, Wildflower. And, there's DMT in semen as well. I'm pretty sure there's DMT in semen. And when you mix the two together as well, you get an alchemy, which is a very potent alchemy.
What about even in, I heard.
Where can I buy that?
Yeah, I was going to say the word urine as well. I mean, it seems.
Urine. Well, I use urine therapy, so I use urine on my face. I've been using urine therapy on and off probably for about 4 years.
Right.
You know, if I haven't had any alcohol and things like that, I was drinking it first thing in the morning. I would also put it on my skin. You could put it on here. Yeah, urine's very good for that purification process and allowing the body to tap into its natural healing resources. So it's great. They use it a lot with people that have gone through cancer treatment or
Yes.
like it like basically treats nearly everything and anything, and great for your skin, morning and night, and even just a little bit under your tongue, like there in the morning.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I also, yeah, I mean, there are quite a few extremely powerful modalities out there, and I suppose you adopt the one that's uniquely appropriate for you. I mean, for example, I've been practicing an old Chinese, and I won't spend too much talking about that because there's so much information out there. I've got phenomenal individuals that are representing this here in Bulgaria as well, like Brother Carmen in Burgas. There's a technique that I've been using. It's called Paida Lajin, and basically, so you're tapping on your meridians and also stretching, and breathing at the same time, and I combined it with the Hawaiian meditation. Please forgive me, I love you. That is so powerful, and also I've managed to bring because with all the great practices out there, I've kind of created this cocktail of bringing them all into union. And I think that's the name of the game. That's what Activator is doing, and it's charging. And I'm excited about this because, you know, this platform is pretty fresh. I like to think it's refreshing, and we're bringing Jesse Howe from Missing Links the next Saturday, and he's interviews over 450 people, and he's bringing a lot of valuable nectar, shall we say, as well, and information for people to raise their game. You know, and the more we are more conscious about this, we'll become more super conscious, and not relying on words like governments to govern. Because for me, it's like, I get that responsibility is not an easy thing, and it's much easier to hand it out and say, well, okay. But it's more empowering when you are in a position where you take greater responsibility and care. And I'll hand the mic back to you in a second. I suppose it's like the vessel, because this is the ultimate projector of what it is that we want to project. And I genuinely believe that the planet and we're coming into some phenomenal alignment right now. And if I can also, with that, there's so much we want to talk about, and I don't know how, you know, we want to keep it within the hour. We want to go a little bit past the hour, but because when you said about channeling and stuff, this is very powerful, because I know with my guides and angels and terrestrial influences here, because I'm getting that at the moment. Could you bring that into this equation of our beautiful conversation as to do you feel you're doing some channel work consciously or semi-consciously, or do you feel a lot of your information is coming from somewhere as a bonus to the fantastic foundation that you've got here right now? Do you feel that there are influences of certain light code messages that are coming to you?
Yes, it feels like messages from one of the original timelines. Oh, I don't even know any way to explain it. Like, it's not channeling into another being as such. It's an aspect that's within my cellular that got activated and simply flows through. So being a vessel, mind, body, but the mind is totally out of the way. And then allowing in the light tongue, which is, I've been told, Palladian. And I sent it to a friend a little bit earlier today, and he's really on that same way. I'm talking to him on Thursday, actually. I'll introduce you both because I feel that's an awesome connection as well. So, yeah, I just shared a little bit, and he said it full on activated him, and he could feel that activating him from simply expressing it and sharing the light through tongue in that way. And I can do some now. I mean, it activated for me when I was going through my, when I was doing some of my energy healing training in Sedona. And it was again through using breath work, and it was hypertrophic breath work, which we actually did for like 90 minutes. It was intense. Like, usually people do it like 20, 30 minutes. It was 90 minutes. Okay. And then all of a sudden this tongue started coming out, and, just allowing it. And then over time it softened, refined. And what people have said to me, that's Palladian. That's definitely Palladian.
Yeah. I mean, I had the privilege. Yeah, please do. And correct me if I'm not on the same frequency as you, but I generally believe this could well be one of few interviews that we will do. I mean, we use the word interviews, but connectivity or whatever. I mean, it's like we're not here to. But I'm really, really excited because also we're open source. We don't feel we need to defend anything here because we are we're not here for personal gain. We're not necessarily to profit, but we're working with spiritual merit, and it's about guardianship. So we're taking responsibility, and it's a big responsibility because this transition, and I'll give the mic back to you in a second, is like I genuinely believe that our operating system is being upgraded, and we are detaching ourselves from the false illusions. But I'm grateful for the false illusions because, again, to bring things into balance, the things that have triggered me have been my great teachers to bring me to this perspective. But we're, the great David Icke, he said we're not here to maybe necessarily learn certain things, but to unlearn the junk that is there to really.
It feels like with the timeline, all the timelines collapsing, it feels like all the aspects of ourselves that we've played out, all like aligning, and that's been coming up over the last few years, that real memory of different timelines, different times, and that's all now coming into this union within ourselves of this. That's what it feels like for me coming through. And even those that maybe are not seeing through, I don't feel any separation there. I really don't. Like, something is shift there where simply by being in the vicinity with another, their cells naturally upgrade. You may not ever have to go and do any inner work. Simply by being in that field of your energetic field, we were talking about this, walking into energetic spaces, they will naturally transmute, transcend, transform. Without, and you see that with children coming through now, their DNA is totally different. They've got a different harmony for consciousness to bring through. So, we all have these divine roles that we're playing as consciousness has this beautiful experience and experiment with itself, really, again.
Yeah. Do you were saying earlier about the possibility of doing a version now? Do you feel Now's
Yeah,
now,
I
or
feel totally fine. I can do some.
I mean, we'll go slow, obviously. I'll try and keep my motion.
Uayakatea shulukuate ishiatea olukua ishiaetekia orukua ishiaetekia oluate oluakatea kate amotu uakate ushiakate ishiate oate oate oate.
Well, okay, that's. I mean, if someone sort of tapped into that, thank you for doing that. Would they be sort of trying to say,
Usually, people usually experience it and they will feel it in their cells. They will feel it in their body. Some people feel it, oh, what I get fed back a lot, it really opens up the gateways of the sacral, the back of the sacral plexus, and you've got all that neural networks. And what I'm understanding and understanding from that now, we are our nervous system, the way that we show up is so directly related to our glands, the health of our glands and our nervous system. So by opening up this, it's stirring up naturally and awakening perhaps their kundalini, their life force energy, but it's definitely opening something up where they feel this activation. Or sometimes it will come through different each time, and it will talk to the cells within the person's body that I'm working on without me having any English word of, oh, this is what this means, of planting another seed, or just allowing it to do what it does, and it does what it needs to do, and that's it. And I simply trust it.
nice.
And just am open to it, to share that freely.
Yeah.
And sometimes in my body as well, with the movements, I know it's really funny. It's like, oh, is that what I'm meant to be doing in a really simple version? Me talking tongue and dancing or moving on the land. And then people are like, sometimes they just like to watch your body move because it activates them. And I'm like, okay, that's what it does. That's what it does.
If people are still with the word ego, for me personally, I mean, I'm grateful for the ego. It's not like
Yeah.
to condemn the ego, but
Mine's right here next to me.
yeah, balances things out is for me is that stillness, and so that you be more present. And being more present, if we're going to purge, let's say, and release, I'm not advocating that there are implants, there are sort of certain parasites and the wonderful word viruses and how real they are, because it's what you energize, because you're a magnet, you are electricity, so you can energize and charge and bring to the platform whatever you project, and that's okay to a point. But when you start going in, because there's this thing about being equal and sovereign, and from my very powerful statement is like, do no harm is so important, because we've been under the umbrella for eons, where we feel that we've been under some kind of, some people call it words like hijack, invaded, our space has been invaded. How much within our soul agreements, I mean, do you feel that a lot of these souls had or have agreements of their making?
Yes.
I mean, before coming here, I have to decline this.
That's not mine, is it?
No, it's my side. So I was going to say, reference to how much of what we're experiencing was in some kind of agreement, and within our DNA, because it's a fascinating thing, DNA. when we look at it, 2-strand, 3-strand, 4-strand, as we are going to, because it's my understanding, we're going to hit some kind of a peak from the operating system that was a 2-strand DNA, and sort of going, wow, 12-strand, and 4 being telepathic, bilocating, and all sorts of things. I can't fathom, understand what 12 is going to be like. It's like, it's almost unimaginable for most.
Well, it would have no description either. How can we even describe it until you experience it? And then when you experience it, I don't know, so then you're not even going to even think to describe it, because why would you?
I mean, it's but
I do feel everyone has I do feel everyone has a contract, a soul contract, and a soul destiny to play out. Otherwise, why would we learn? How else would we learn from the contrast? I do feel as well, some people have gone, oh, they're doing this bad stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe that's their role in the game, to get you off your lazy ass, to stop being so complacent and shifting from your victim consciousness of blame, of finger pointing, of going, why are they doing this? It's so unfair. And start to see, you need, we talk about being the change, but Raby, see it as, if there was nothing for the nervous, people talk about stress and they say stress is so bad. And it's like, no, stress is an opportunity to show you how to up level your game, how to sharpen some of your tools, how to be more resourceful, resilient, and shift from the little human, the entity of, oh, poor little me, I'm so helpless and powerless. You can't have more, you can't have the keys to a faster vehicle, more adaptive, stronger container if you haven't done the work. And I've seen it happening. I do think it will happen. I still think it will happen. But bodies imploding in themselves, we've already seen examples of that, and perhaps bodies combusting. It's not to scare people. I saw it in a vision and in a dream. Other people saw, remember Jason Estes talked about it around the same time, and there were a few of us actually that had said that we'd witnessed this. And I think it's in my inner knowing, what I'm tuning into is, if the neural network and your frequency hasn't been through some form of resistance, like a diamond getting crushed, going into the dark, all of that compression, then it's not going to be strong enough to hold the higher capacity of the electromagnetic frequency, even the light, and it will. Some people's bodies won't, and I feel that will be something. That's why we are seeing sometimes people, we can say it's something else, but I actually feel it's more from their bodies not being able to hold the capacity that's flowing through, which is constantly increasing with the solar waves, and then the solar rays and waves, and then you've got the Earth's magnetic frequency as well. So you've got this compression, which is assisting, plus this acceleration, assisting the human that stands in between. They're going to ascend no matter what. There's no way escaping it, and especially at the moment, it's intense.
Yeah. As you're talking there, I mean, I got this word purification.
Yes, it's exactly purification.
And the thing is, if I can throw in because there's a lot of stigma attached to this one, and I'm not advocating yes or no, but a lot of people using things like days of darkness. Now, my understanding of this is, if you're attached to the illusions, you will experience. I mean, I'm experiencing more light than ever because I've detached myself from those false narratives, and I've done it by being grateful and in gratitude, bringing things to the field of neutrality. So I think more people become neutral and not, because when pardon the expression, when shit begins to surface even more, sorry to use that analogy.
No, I think it's a great analogy.
It's a stench.
Mm.
The stench is going to be not comfortable for a lot of people. And I'm one of those people. I'm not advocating to rush out and buy gold and silver and, you know, it's about the arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is the gold for me. And what you touch becomes gold or coal or whatever, you know. So it's like, how do you energize? How do you magnetize? Because we can have another session if you want in due course, because I'm getting very excited about the field of electroculture, because it's a wonderful project, and it's nothing new to the planet, by the way. I'm embracing it. Yeah, basically, we're putting these copper rods into in near the root of the plant, and it's on the etheric level. It's there's power there, there's energy all around us. So it's helping, it's enabling the plant without, on a cellular level, relying on what's in the soil so much. It's getting it from its nutrients and everything from the ether, if you like. And would you say that this has been some kind of activation? Because I'm talking to some brothers and sisters. They were just saying that things have been sort of switched off in terms of a certain frequency that the planet was under, and now it's been switched off. But again, we could talk about 2012 scenario as well, the reintroduction of the lunar calendar opposed to the Gregorian calendar, which is all genocides and things like that, which is a lot of blah blah blah, loads of stories. But interesting times, because something is definitely purging and purifying. I know you're going to say something, so
Yeah, well, we could say, we could have that idea that something's being switched off, or we could actually say, well, because more and more people have been awakening and actually doing the work, which I feel that's why everything was planned, right? I predicted it a year before. My sister, she said, when are people going to listen to us? When the whole world gets forced to look at basically their rising shit, which you just talked about, right? The rising dump. So they get to see it when the world gets forced stop still and something happens that people have to drastically change. They won't be able to go and do what they would normally do. And that was a year before the pandemic played out. So I do feel, perhaps, because we can't say, perhaps it was that because, there was this big shift in consciousness that people were forced to actually start doing some stuff. They were in this compression. Oh, now I'm going to find another way, right? All divinely. Then we've got more bodies, more expressions of consciousness out there, which are then pushing through. So we reached a point where we've pushed through. So we've gone into the next phase. I don't think it's someone like, someone's switched off. I mean, for me personally, that's like saying, well, I'm still keeping my power of something outside of me. So part of what I'm doing as well, I'm learning what those playing the games, how they play the game. I'm not interested in, they're doing this. I want to learn. I wanted to learn, which took me on the quest to learning more information, because they're playing the game. You want to start mastering the game? You've got to learn to master the game in yourself. That's why the Future Human, I created it. So, and it's a phase. Once people have got through, that's one cycle. That's only one cycle. And then it's like, you need to keep repeating it and repeating it.
Until you learn
your on the grid. Pardon?
I was going to say, things repeat until you learn your lesson, and then it just
repeat it over 7 cycles. I don't believe because each time you have, if you look at the soul path journey, like with karma, the law of cause and effect, and how karma plays out, we have to keep repeating it, and we will have a different incident or an experience and a gestalt that imprints. that then we get to refine it a little bit more. And I find this is it is like a purification at the moment. It's also like a centrifuge machine, which is like, shh. And the more and more I feel that someone is holding on, they don't want to let go of their story because they think it's who they are, that false identity, right?
Indoctrinated.
It's going to get more and more uncomfortable for them until the only thing that they can do is let go.
Yeah.
And the ego is not the
wave
enemy.
of
It's not the enemy. It's your greatest ally. It's learning how to work with it. Otherwise, you're a doormat.
I must confess, I was a little bit a victim to that for a while. With this new wave of,
We all were.
Like, and to be open, you know.
Yeah, I mean that was my pattern. And this is what consciousness is really shifting from victim consciousness.
Yes.
Into what true freedom is. And
yes.
True freedom's not out there waving a little sign going, yeah, fight, fight, fight. It's playing into the game to keep that timeline of that playing out to create the most unwanted. So, you know, I think it's really easy to get too narrow visioned on this or that. If you're following something that's like, it's only this and you're not zooming out, you're not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then you're feeding into that timeline. You're feeding into that what you don't want because that's what you're focused on, rather than being, focusing on gratitude. And each morning when I wake up in the morning, my regular has always been toning my body, breath work, meditation for over a decade now. But recently as well, before I get out of bed, I actually lay there flat. And I tune into my cells and I tune into my body. And I start off my day as my body being in perfect health. And I will go through my body and I will do that for like 15, 20 minutes now, because you wake up in the morning and you may have been doing mission work overnight. So even though you've slept, you've been like busy. So you need to like have a little bit of a purification. So then you really start your day.
Yeah.
And then your mind is so powerful, but like giving your mind over to your body, like your body over to your mind, because that's where you change your body, and then your body over to your soul. So then you become this conduit to serve through consciousness, flowing through and tuning into your soul and heart being led. Sorry, I'll hand the mic. I got all excited.
Yeah, that's fine. And also what, the hot topic of what ignites also is things like kindness.
Yes.
Because when you're leaving an impression somewhere, imagine if you become, and that's what this platform is all about. And I don't own it. We don't own it. We're guardianship. But when you're kind and you're super conscious of it, and you don't need to wait for a week to get the results. You can see it instantly igniting in front of you.
Yeah.
And I see it time and time again. Like I go into a situation where I get it, if it's victimhood or unworthiness or unhealed child wounds, I get that because I've had it myself. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, and then it's a case of like, you just give them that unconditional smile. I can see it time and time again. They're going to smile back. And do you know, let me define, for me, enlightenment is when you're on an uncharted territory and you lock eyes on a so-called stranger, someone you've never met, supposedly, which is another version of you. But anyway, so what do you see? I see a mirror in front of me. Yeah. So how do you treat that individual is an expression of what's going on within your vessel. So if you're a positive, that kindness will not be fully pledged, So if you're kind to self, and that you're conscious of what you're putting inside of yourself. So you want organic rather than inorganic matter going in, you know. So it's like you want to keep away from synthetics. But again, it's, you know, I feel, yeah, I mean, technology is great, but this biological computer with the cosmic energy is the ultimate. You know, and a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, and I'm not here to say it's about bringing balance. You know, they say, oh, you know, we can create this virtual reality. There's this computer. Yeah, it's all great and fine if it's used in the correct way. It can assist humanity, but it's not the be all and end all, because genuinely, it's the soul. To be in constant awe and excitement of the soul. By the way, did you ever get the chance, when I was sharing to you with that reference to the GPMS, Global People's Monetary System?
Oh, it's phenomenal. I've got to go into it a lot deeper, but yeah, it's brilliant. I had a snapshot.
Another time, because there's a simplified divine plan. And one of the things that I've done okay in business, is I want to simplify things as best I can, because I'm seeing it from the eyes of there's a recipient, there's a receiver. It's important to be empathetic. So when I'm talking, what is the listener, or what are they getting? What message? Because like, what is your moral compass? What is it all about? Is it just about profit? Is it all about just gain? So you put that into a higher perspective, so that people appreciate the essence of who you are and what your powerful mission is. Because I understand it, because it hasn't been easy for a lot of people to navigate through this, whatever you want to call it. But for me personally, it's like, once you give a certain message out, I mean, you kind of reap what you sow to a point, because what you send out is what you'll get back. So if that's working well, I mean, for me, it's when you enrich another, and that could be an animal, by the way. It's not just a human, a plant, a tree, an insect. You know, it's a symbiotic relationship. Everything, a virus, a bacteria. What is your association? Myself, and I'm really excited to give this out to the planet. Do no harm is, and to be guardians, and to know that we are visitors, like tourists, and we're here to observe, take nice pictures, and to share openly without creating division. Why do we need division? Why do we need division? Well, because some people were using that mechanism to divide and rule us for profit, for gain, whether they were vampires or whatever. But that's perfect, that's fine. But with these new energies,
I think there's the separation as well is from, yes, there's that playing the game, and it's feeding on people's vulnerability, but then people latch on to that because they want some form of identification to almost rationalize how they're feeling, but then that keeps them stuck in that, not really of coming into self-acceptance and kindness of self-love, of self-nourishment, because if they did, they wouldn't need little groups to feel accepted. They would accept themselves of who they are.
yes.
So yes, we can say they're doing that to create all of this, and we can say, well, maybe that's because when we look at it, consciousness, everything originates from God. So then what is that? Is that playing out as a scenario for then to shift beyond the game again? And I like to look at it like that, because then it can be really challenging when you're in that fight all the time. And then all that that's doing, that's opening up a portal where you're actually allowing yourself all those powers, and those are playing that high player shit fuckery, messing with the inverting it, all of that. Then they're actually feeding and siphoning off your life force.
And I take it the more present you are. I mean, I feel that if there are shady characters, let's just use the word shady. I'm not going to advocate good or bad, but they shouldn't be there necessarily.
There should be some sort of retribution for them to go through, some form of retribution and redemption for all, no matter what.
Because, I mean, one of the hardest things for me to understand is because there is an opposing polarity, and there is sheer evil as well, I guess. There is an evil thing. I as intelligence as I may claim to be, for me the greatest struggle was the word evil. I mean, it's like, well, it's really, I mean, it does exist, right?
It's backwards, isn't it?
Right. Okay. I mean,
live.
Do you feel that, I mean, we've just now gone past the hour now. I mean, do you feel that if I was to invite you back, could we have a session, a discussion on,
I'd love to.
Because also this platform is all about to get people out of the closet as well. Would you be comfortable in talking about some aspects of your background? Would you be comfortable to?
Yeah, I'm totally open to talking about that. It's because I'm clear it's from another timeline. I've played it out in this timeline in game, if that makes sense. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, but
I'm happy to do that. It feels clear.
I mean, could you put a title to I mean, shall we just do it live now? I mean, our next, if you feel comfortable, so to put you on the spot. I mean, reference to something to you, in whether it was in your other timeline or something that you feel.
I'm open. I'm comfortable to talk about it because I feel it's we talked about this as a big piece to then support what needs to shift, because it's not like this or that. There's massive healing that needs to take place on all levels. I have this thing, I'm not sure if people are ready to. I know, I mean, I don't even know where to go into it because little bits have been released. And there's still not that much awareness, I don't think. I mean, people are having more and more awareness.
Right.
With that process, I mean, it's natural to go through massive grieving and anger process with that because it is horrific.
There is a wave, though. I mean, this wave is called 144,000. Do you know anything about what exactly, in your interpretation, is this 144,000?
I know that I wrote in my book of being one of the 144. I mean, it was something that came through, and maybe that was what was floating around in consciousness then, and one of the 144,000. And then also looking at the understanding of the gene keys, and the different keys within it are all making up the 144 codes within the body. So we are on this, returning to the one of activating of, and then you've got the 12, and then 12 times 12, like it multiplies again, that's 144, right?
Yeah.
12 times 12, yeah.
While you're talking there, I got this incredible download. Maybe the next one we should do creating a vision.
Yeah, I think it's more important to create, but then on the vision, I'm not going to share my vision really, because I also feel I'll share aspects of it. I feel there is potency.
It can be absolutely the essence. Mm.
It gets
Well,
lost.
because we, yeah, well, because we.
A vision of where I see things. I seriously don't see anyone getting left behind. I don't get this. Oh, they made that, and I did have that for a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, that's quite. I see a lot of people that are holding on to that, and they're still quite angry, and they're not really doing the work.
Is there anything that one can do in terms of like what you could leave in terms of like to make it more bearable, more comfortable for listeners in terms of because pain is real, no doubt about it.
Pain is an opportunity. I mean, pain can be acute or chronic, i.e. very acute, that it's just happened, i.e. your arms got severed or something. Pain is very addictive. Definitely an addiction for me, pain, to experience pain, because it was a shift beyond numbness rather than feeling numb.
Right.
Pain is also a powerful doorway, portal to go into and explore and transmute, because pleasure is on the other side of it as well. So it's usually the story that the mind holds on to and doesn't want to let go of that creates the greatest pain, and then the pain manifests in the body. Pain may be in one place, but then its source is coming from somewhere else. So it's not always where the pain is. I love working with pain. I love working with pain in that it tells us so much, and it can be, you can dissolve it straight away. If you have pain, I invite you to get curious of it. And firstly, you want to put your body into a relaxed state, because when you're tense, then your experience of pain is going to go up. So you can go into a very relaxed state, very simply into an alpha state, by simply wherever you are now, feeling the inner fabric or inside of your body start becoming warmer and warmer and warmer, and just feel it starting to warm in your body and your head. And this warmth is going to naturally relax your body.
Very powerful.
And you can access alpha state very, very simply from that. And then ask your body, get curious. What are you showing me? Most people want to run away from pain. They're told it's bad. I don't want that. You want to just be curious.
Yeah.
You can shift your language. Yeah.
So, or take pills or drink alcohol or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever it is. Sometimes we need to keep doing those patterns until we realize,
realization kicks in.
We're slow learners. That's not really working. Oops, I did it again.
Thank you for that, Zoe. I mean, my teacher, his name is Honchi Chow, who taught me a lot of with psychology, and he said that pain is a gift.
It is.
It's a gift, and I'm privy to that, and especially when I had my gallbladder issue, because I was holding a lot of anger, and so being conscious of the cause and effect, really, because you can remove the organ, but the pain is still there,
and you'll get the phantom pain.
Well, yeah, because it's not the physical is the
manifestation.
Exactly. So it's like you've got to go to whether it's the emotional, it's the mental, causal, and on the spiritual levels of the block, and try to understand the cause and effect there. But this modality that I was using, it helped the Kundalini, the chi, to rotate in a certain way, and now it's brought me to a very good place, a good, being balanced, and because you can be, you can be, if you numb yourself too much, you don't feel, because some people feel they don't want to, like they say, ignorance is bliss, or they don't want to feel anything. They would rather keep away. I'm not saying that's good. I'm not going to advocate to say on this. It's good or bad, but each to their interpretation. But if you're
You're
going to be
never going to evolve. You're not. Yeah.
let's be honest a little bit more. You've
Yeah,
got
be
to,
honest. Like, you're not going to understand what a spiritual experience is. You're not going to be able to get into your emotional body. Bottom line is, unless you go into the physical body, the container, and you're guided into ways where you can actually go in bit by bit towards the pain to shift, to repattern it, rewire it, dissolve it, because you can eliminate it. Then until you go into that, it's giving you the message, then the emotion is released. Then you can have an understanding of what's happening, and it goes through the body, and only then will you really have a spiritual experience up here. Otherwise, you're never going to understand what it is. So you can stay playing that game, and this lifetime, maybe you may be a young soul, and this may be your time around of, then in another time coming around, you may gain a little bit more. So I don't think it's about having to sort everything this, we only have this left. I do feel, it's an infinite.
It's some people say, do you only have one life? And I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, whatever turns you on. But I don't advocate to that at all. But I give them the opportunity to express themselves. The last thing we want to do is be like a government and exposing the truth. I mean, not exposing the truth, shall we say, or suppressing the truth. But yeah, it's like, because they're I suppose sometimes why people are not present enough in the now moment is because they're not happy. Because for me to raise my game, and lately, and there's so many things I've allowed for myself not to do. For example, I've got issues with, let's say, my parents are not happy, they're struggling, they've got so many real issues. So I would allow that to come into my vessel, and it would throw me off balance. Now, if I'm going to be more effective, I won't allow that, because it's important to be the observer, but if you allow that level of contamination, it's going to decrease your energy, not increase your energy. So I'm very careful, and that it's almost like saying I don't care, but you do. But
you care enough not to care.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Because I used to overcare.
That's when people are overcompensating, because they are unhappy, they've got suffering inside, so they constantly wanting to help or care for people. I'm going to care about them because it gives them that biofeedback of, oh wow, I've done something good, now I actually feel worthy. So this unworthiness that is underlying underneath, now this helplessness, now I feel helpful, and now I feel worthy. Now I feel powerful, and it's like, let me help you. Thank you. It's actually the biggest way of disempowering that person. And you get that in relationships, in power struggles. It's like, no, like Maria Montessori said, help a child to help themselves. You don't stop picking people back up, even with your family. Set clear boundaries, loving boundaries, clear boundaries. That's self-love, that's self-care, that's hey.
Very true. Yes, very, very true.
And that takes courage. It takes courage. Then that's not.
It does. And I must say, I was a little bit vulnerable there, and now I'm setting these boundaries. So that's why my pain is. I understand my pain more now, because it was like I was a little bit here, a little bit there. Now I'm kind of pain-free, on the physical, and it's like I can feel, I can understand. So I've got a whole new understanding of what's happening. Now I was going to say,
I had to roll out of bed the other morning last week. This is what happens to my body sometimes, because even me, I don't always listen until it gets so much. I must have done lots of mission work in the night. And then that morning, my lower back was locked up. I had to roll out of bed. I was straight on the floor, straight into a hip stretch, opening up. And then spent like really getting into the somatics of my body, like eating my medicine and releasing and some movement, and then it went straight away. So every time you do that, go into it, don't ignore it, because it will increase, and don't take a Panadol.
So just before we end our conversation, I was going to say about what you said about warmth and cold, because for me it's like within our hologram there's two organisms, shall we say. One, life is warmth, and I don't advocate the word death, but let's just play with that analogy. Let's say there's life and there's death. Death likes cold. So if you want to heal more, to keep yourself warm and do the movements and stretching and keep that body sort of elastic.
Fluid. Well, you need the fluidity. You need to have some movement, because the water, as we're all with the elements, the water, the fire, the air, the earth. So the emotions, the thoughts and your feelings and your emotions are in the water. So unless you get movement, you're gonna get, that's why you get pain. It's like going, oh, stagnation of water here. Yeah. You put movement in there, and then it starts getting the emotions to release and move. So then they can purify and release.
And you can search for
dancing. Yeah, I do that with my movement. I'll just like feel into it, and sometimes it doesn't even look like anything. I'm making it up, and it's just feeling into it, and then holding a stretch and just ironing it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, it's an hour and 22.
Nice timing.
There's no time, but but it's been fantastic in your company, and I would like to invite foreseeable future, and thank you for being who you are, and you're a beautiful being, and I appreciate your work and what you do and what you stand for. So I will leave the ball in your court whenever you feel you're ready for another conversation. Just send me a message, and within the next week or two, or whenever you feel it necessary, my door is open to you. So
thank you, Barrett. Thank you for this amazing platform and your co-creation and weaving your magic, sharing your magic, and all that you've created on the land of what you're doing. I'm really excited to.
Thank you, and that we can talk about that next time if you want. Some of the visions that hold dear to us, and it's when like you said, we're not dictating to anyone a certain vision, but we're just giving positive ideas out to people. If they feel it necessary.
Hold up on the period blood. It may be too much for people.
Time, maybe. I mean,
go gentle. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zoe, and have a beautiful remain. Because I know you're in Australia and there's a time difference. What time is it here? Yeah, it's 10:54 now here in the morning. So you're
5:54 here.
Well, have a beautiful evening, and
thank you.
Much love.
Much love.
Take care. Bye for now.
Everyone. Bye.